The first part is kind of obvious about brand advocacy. Why do you need brand advocacy? We are currently, a very different landscape than, say, a few decades ago, where on social media, everybody has a voice. So the question is, you are a brand also amongst social media in landscape. How do you build advocacy from those around you in a positive manner? Just borrowing a quote from Jeff Bezos, he said, "Do what you do so well that they will want to see it again and bring their friends." When they say they, he obviously means the customers. He also have said that brand reputation in general is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And I think these are just sort of concept that's worth remembering, because while we have our own communication channel as a brand, while we have our own advertising channel as a brand, there's nothing more powerful than word of mouth, than what people actually say about you when you're not there. So it's something to keep in mind. A few stats to keep in mind when you think about the concept of brand advocacy. 71% of people trust content from people they know than branded content. And I think that's just sort of intuitive, right? Like when you look at conversations from your friends, from your families, and they tell you something that they experienced to be great and exciting, naturally, because of your trust to them, you feel like that's something that is genuine and authentic. The other stats worth highlighting: 92% of consumers trust recommendations, especially from brand advocates, i.e. other individuals who has also experienced from that. And then finally, millennials are 115 times more influenced by word of mouth than traditional advertising. I think there's a general change in behavior in terms of the consumption of media, and that has really impacted the trust and how people discover content. And I think these are really interesting concepts for us to remember, and these are data that you can actually see more background in the white paper. There's a paradigm shift within the people you are communicating to. Quite often, the goal is sort of has shifted, and that's what we call the paradigm shift. And whereas before there's this idea about the objective is to have your community to be very loyal to your brands and who becomes repeated purchase customers. And now what consumers are looking for is a connection with the brands, to really think about, do they align with the value, or is this a brand that I want to connect with? Before, advertising was sort of the main pathway where people discover new product and services. And right now, because of a lot of the other channels like ad blockers, like people basically have ad fatigue. A lot of the time, consumers are choosing to see what they want to see. They're following people they want to follow. They have their friends and families that they interact directly, so they can very much block out the noise if I really don't want to interact with something. So there's a lot more control, and that's something that's worth thinking about. And therefore, rather than thinking about building audiences, which are people in a way being sort of broadcasted to, really the idea is to think about the people you're connecting with more like a community, where they actually rely on each other and listen to each other on the recommendations and on what they think is good for certain product and services. What is really interesting, and you can see a lot more detail within the white paper, is that we have done a series of investigation to look at several British brands, and where you can see those who actually have a high level of brand advocacy, where they really follow the sort of the practice to maximize that on social media, they tend to have a very high level of both awareness and also people who are both aware of the brand and follow the brand. This is a proprietary study that are done within the white paper, and you can see the conversion rate is just higher on that front. And whereas if you are a brand that does not focus as much on the goal of effectively getting your community to advocate for you, we can see that it does then impact on the proportion of people who are aware of the brand and following the brand. One thing to highlight, again, another stats to keep in mind is that 74% of people stated that more recommendations from people they know would encourage them to purchase from the brands. And I think it's just another inclusion compared to the stats above. Again, this is also from the survey, that they really believe that whatever the brands are telling them, it doesn't matter until they get a recommendation from the others who really recommend them the purchase.